G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Off Ukraine War Update for the 8th of October 2025. As I would tell you if it was over, but as the fighting continues, the propaganda continues, though this time they're showing us a photo of the Russian Grand self-propelled multi-rocket launcher system firing a single rocket. This is a file photo, though according to this, it was produced by AP in a undisclosed but it came by the Russian Defense Military Press Service via AP to Al Jazeera at an undisclosed location in Ukraine on Monday, after multiple passes, probably, I'm trying to work out. It's just a common everyday thing where there are actually hundreds of snapshots taken every day. For most of them, never see the light of day. I remember seeing World War II in photography, and some of these World War II photos hadn't even been published. They hadn't even been looked at. The last hours of the Yamamoto as it sank. Pictures, some of them horrific. Obviously, in Okinawa, GIs who, in a short span of time, pretty much aged in fierce fighting. And we're going to see more photos come out after this war than probably during. Now, apparently, Russia has captured almost 5,000 square kilometres of Ukraine so far this year and has a strategic advantage. Fighting continues, Ukrainian drone shot down. Now, a lot of videos claim that Russian air defences are pathetic. Well, if that was the case, how come most of the Ukrainian drones are shot down? Most Russian cities are ringed by air defences. You don't hear panic or see. If Ukraine was successful, I'd guarantee you CNN would show it front page news. It's Ukraine who's whining. And remember, Ukraine's air defences at the beginning of the war were Chinese. Okay, they had Chinese guns, Chinese tanks, Chinese air defences. Europe came in and started rebuilding Ukraine and turning it against Russia. This is a proxy war of Berlin's, Paris, and London's making. But increasingly, Poland is sticking its beak in, trying to show off how they're tough guys. Russian airstrikes have done significant damage to Ukrainians' gas production. Ukraine has to increase its gas production to make up for economic shortfalls. And, yes, increase. Ukraine yesterday was bragging how it destroyed Russian gas production. Well, Ukraine's gas production has fallen so far that they have to import 30%. Increase, by 30%. So, and Ukraine has retaliated by attacking Russian nuclear plants, and Ukraine is continuing to talk about Tomahawks. And remember, Tomahawk cruise missiles are nuclear weapons. Okay, you can look it up. They are nuclear weapons. Ukraine wants nuclear weapons, but Washington's saying we'll give you high explosives, but if I was Russia, I would be very, very, very cautious and shoot these motherfuckers down before they even arrive on Russian territory. I would be very cautious. Not of the Americans, but Ukraine putting some cobalt or some other powder, plutonium powder, Now, on the diplomatic front, Turkey is trying its own approach to get momentum with phone calls direct to Putin, while Italians are trying to push in public the Trump peace plan. Meanwhile, Polish Prime Minister refuses to hand over a Ukrainian man wanted in Germany for involvement in the Nord Stream pipeline gas explosion because he thinks that the Nord Stream gas pipeline should never been built because it's against Polish interests. Now, of course, that is the selfishness of Poland, okay, where people want to destroy other countries just so they can get ahead, and then cry when Russia fights back. Ukraine. All right, so we have a oil depot, a gas depot. Now, I think here were truck stops. Now, Kherson, there was some artillery exchanges. Now we go into north. There was fighting in the buffer zone. Again, north of Sumy. Buffer zone north of Kharkiv, a little bit of action. Little bit of action here north of Kupiansk with Russia making some progress, but not in Kupiansk. Now we go to the Lyman area. There is still fighting here, as I said. But I don't say that Russia would need to take this line. No. Prevent a Ukrainian artillery on their flanks as they go for Lyman. And also allow the Russians to go through Novo here and cut the rail line. Be able to come through here, then swing through here, cutting all this off, right through, so they would cut the rail line at multiple points, and come through and cut this road at multiple points, cutting off Slovetsk from the north, now enable the battle groups then to push up and push out the Ukrainians. Alright, so Russia's advanced a little bit west of Zakrin, which, as you may know, they were stuck at for over a year. A little bit advance here, but not much. Still not much at Silvesk, but a little bit of breakthrough in other areas. Now Russia's advanced in Chasiv Yar. They've taken what's left of Chasiv Yar completely now, and surrounds with only this little bit of forestry area left. A little bit of advance here, but not much. Nothing of consequence elsewhere. Though there's probably a little bit of advance here in the north. Probably making progress in street fighting here, but really it's not much. The Russians are still pushing on this road. The Ukrainians still fighting the Ukrainians here after the Ukrainians allegedly retook the town. I'm not sure. Probably it's changed hands multiple times. But, yeah. One tiny offensive in a sea of many offensive actions by, and Ukraine is pretty much just setting themselves up for fail. Every time they retake a town, they're doomed to lose it within a few days, and they've just wasted hundreds of lives for nothing. But no, it's not nothing. It's the colour of Ukraine. All right. I left this accidentally running, so hold on a moment. Gosh. All right. All right, can you spot the bunker? Somewhere in that red box. There we go. On the close-up. It's a pit. Now you can see it. Once you've seen it, now you can see it. They've dug out a pit, covered it with tarp, and hasta la vista. Bob's your uncle, blown away. Well, since it's loaded other videos, let's see. This is from days ago. This is the artillery on Kupiansk. You can see much clearer during the day. Multiple explosions, multiple buildings getting lit up. All right, so the EU is pressuring Belgium to allow them to steal Russian assets to help Ukraine. You're not helping Ukraine, you're destroying it. But, you know, potatoes, tomatoes, right? However, Slovak has ruled out sending any military aid to Ukraine. The European Union has pressured the Slovaks to put together a package. It will contain humanitarian aid, but they have sent demining vehicles to Kiev and working on another package. They have sent multiple packages, mostly non-lethal products in humanitarian aid. Remember, it's not Russia, but mostly Ukraine who's doing all the mines. Now, Trump has been asked about Ukraine after a meeting with Carney, and he pretty much said he thought this would be easy, but it turned out to be tougher than the Middle East. We'll see what happens. With respect to Russia, Ukraine, it's a crazy thing, and of course reiterated his disappointment in Putin. Now, of course, this should come to no surprise to you that Joe Biden was allegedly corrupt, and while vice president, according to declassified documents, though redacted, while VP, dated February 10th, 2016, Joe Biden asked for a report that the National Security Advisor would not publish a report that named the VP as having done business or doing business in Ukraine or getting a job for his son, or what Bruce denied taking bribes, knowledge of Hunter's business activities, and then pardons his son for all activities that may have actually occurred between 2014 and 2024. Many, of course, have said that the majority of Ukrainians see the problem as getting worse. Well, yeah. Ukraine is a festering wound on society. It needs to heal, and it can't heal while Zelensky's in power. Definitely can't heal while there's a war on. And can't heal if it gives up its neutrality, because it'll be permanently locked into a political position of blaming Russia for everything in order to get out of its own responsibilities. Just like all other feminists, collectivists, communists, whatever you want to call them, fascists, Satanists, they're all the same thing. They're just they're all a brand of Fruit Loops, basically. They're all selfish narcissists who just do anything for power. Ukraine has, of course, attacked nuclear power plants. The drone did strike a cooling tower. It was being jammed at the time, so it flew straight into it, only leaving a scorch mark. Now, there's an article about Ukraine military plagued by overspending that appeared in the New York Times. It's behind a paywall. But basically, this is the same problem all around the world, even in Russia. Putin is trying to crack down on overpricing, where particularly third-party equipment from China or North Korea gets overpriced by the importer. So, at least you may complain about Putin, but at least he goes after the corrupt, eh? And you may complain about Ukraine, but it's nothing compared to the corruption uncovered by Doge. Ukraine's a distraction, but it's a pathetic one. Now, Russian forces have taken another town. Liberate or captured, depending on your politics. Now, Novo isn't the same town. This is the one yesterday. This is the one today. Different settlement, but at a cost of Ukrainian lives across multiple fronts. Yeah, liberated yesterday. So, service people, vehicles, and artillery pieces were, So you see a huge barrage, which lasted less than a minute. That's the battle. Now, Ukraine spends sometimes days clearing out unexploded ordnance, trying to clear out the dead, the equipment, the mines in and around the area, looking for unexploded ordnance, booby traps left behind, sometimes taking weeks to clear a town. This is all to slow down the Russian advance, but Ukraine is only prolonging its pain instead of negotiating. But that's where we're at, isn't it? Where Zelensky wants to play the hero, and but because he's such a dunce, a doofus, a direct thorn in Ukraine's own planning and strategy, wasting manpower on headline-grabbing offensives, and then covering up days later when that same town gets recaptured by Russia, leaving Ukrainians believing that they're advancing, and then waiting for the next shoe to drop, and that never comes, and Ukrainians are ever increasingly disappointed when they hear later, sometimes months later. See, remember, folks, Ukraine is a prison camp with limited information. So you see a lot of those popular YouTube channels talking up the Ukraine war. They're the only ones allowed in Ukraine. You'll never see people posting glory to Ukraine on my site because they don't like what I have to say, because I have the truth. They're deluding themselves, thinking that I'm publishing Russian propaganda. I'm just bringing you both sides of the war and letting you decide. But this map right here that I show you every day, this map right here is Ukrainian, not Russian. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And please, I need your help. Support the channel. Like, share, subscribe. Support me on Patreon. Buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.